Employee or entrepreneur? Which one suits you the best? We're about to find out. What's good, guys? Jonathan Murray back with another video, and in this one we're actually going to be talking about the differences between employees and entrepreneurs. Which one is better for your particular situation, the differences between both, as well as the mindset, right? And just so you guys know, since this is a video or a channel that's focused on health as well as wealth, your finances, becoming wealthy and rich, obviously I'm going to be more biased towards the entrepreneurship side. I definitely believe that everybody should be a entrepreneur in some shape or form, right? Some shape or form. Not speaking anything negatively against a 9-to-5, right? Because each has its own place, right? But I do believe if you on this video are one of those people who are trying to create wealth for themselves and their family, then you need to be involved in some form of entrepreneurship. So before I go into differentiating the two between employees and entrepreneurs, I actually want to break down the 4 different ways that people make money in today's society, right? Shout out to Robert Kiyosaki, right? One of the most well-known entrepreneurs, investors, influencers, right? If you've ever read the books, Business of the 21st Century, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, these are very big, well-known books by this man, Robert Kiyosaki, right? And I highly suggest if you're a new entrepreneur in this space, you definitely should go ahead and read those books, right? But he is the one that created what's called the cash flow quadrant. And what the cash flow quadrant essentially is it breaks down literally the 4 different ways in which people make money, right? The 4 different ways. So just to kind of go ahead and go into it, right? The first way is, the employee, right? The employee is kind of what we talked about, people who are trading their time for money, whether you work at a restaurant, whether you're a factory worker, you work at a retail store, you're a cashier, whatever the case may be, you are working for somebody else, and therefore you are trading your time for money, right? You don't put in the hours, you don't show up, you don't get paid, right? So that is essentially your employee, right? The next one is the S, right? The S is your self-employed. These are people who, are essentially, your doctors, your lawyers, your independent contractors, electricians, plumbers, all those different things, right? These are people who essentially work for themselves, right? They have a little bit more time freedom in the sense of when they show up, right? But just to keep things simple for you guys, they are still trading their time for money, because at the end of the day, if they get sick or something happens or they can't show up, they don't get paid, right? This is the stepping stone into essentially working for yourself, passive income, that kind of stuff. But you ultimately want to transition to what we're about to talk into next, right? Your B, you're a business owner, right? Your B is essentially big business owner, and you are trading and leveraging, other people's effort. You're leveraging a system, you're leveraging, employees to make money, right? A system, right? Something in which you can take yourself out of the equation and you're still making money, right? That is what we like to call passive income, right? And that's what we're going to talk a lot about on this channel, is different ways of making passive income, different ways of making money and investing, things like that. And this is the category in which you want to be in. When you think of this, think of, your Tim Cooks, your Elon Musk, your Jeff Bezos, people like that, people who own a business, who have, people who work for them, or, leverage some sort of system or some type of, team in which they're actually able to make money, right? So the last one is your I. Your I is your investor. This is where you're essentially leveraging your money for more money, right? You're trading your money for more money, whether it's in stocks, real estate, Forex, cryptocurrency, and etc., right? Things like that. Things where you have to put money in to see greater returns, right? Whether you're holding it or trading it, whatever the case may be, right? That is your investor, right? And these are two categories in which you are going to create wealth for yourself. So now that you actually see the differences between the ways that people are able to make money, right? Comment below, guys, which category do you find yourself in, right? Are you an E? Are you an S, a B, or an I? Employee, self-employed, or a specialist? Or are you a B, business owner, or an investor, right? As well as, comment below as well what you're looking to get to, like if you're trying to stay in the quadrant that you're at, or if you're actually trying to shift towards a different quadrant as well, right? Definitely comment below. And as well, if you're gaining any kind of value from this video, if you learned something, definitely make sure you click on that subscribe button, as well as comment any kind of things that you guys want to see in the future. So now that you guys know the differences between the 4-way cash flow quadrant, your E's, your employees, self-employed, business owner, as well as your investors, now let's actually dive deep into the differences, the pros and the cons of being an employee versus being an entrepreneur, right? So number one, an employee, the pro is you actually get a steady paycheck. You get a steady paycheck with being an employee, because before getting that job, you and that boss or that recruiter, agree upon a salary or an hourly rate. Before going in, you get paid X amount of dollars for X amount of hours. And you have that comfortability of knowing that every 2 weeks or every month or whatever you get paid, that consistent flow of income is coming in, which is great to have, which is great mentally on you. The next thing is a set schedule, right? You, as well as the income, you have a set schedule, the amount of hours that you have to plan for to be in the work, whether it's 9 to 5, 7 to 4, or whenever you work, right? When you have to come in, and the schedule that you have, right? The next thing is the system or the ecosystem, right? As an employee, you don't have to worry about creating the system or the team or the construction of the business. As an employee, you're already a part of the ecosystem. You're already a part of something that's been created. All you have to do is do your job within that system to help it run, which is great because there's a lot of extra moving parts involved in that, right? The next thing is less liability. So it technically goes back into the ecosystem. Is with an ecosystem, you as a CEO or a boss or an entrepreneur, you're going to receive more liability if something happens, if something goes wrong from an economic standpoint. As an employee, you literally don't have to worry about that. You don't have to leverage your own capital or your own resources or assets to help the business run. You just show up and you get the job done and you go home, right? So that's great, is you have less liability. If things go wrong, you're not losing your own money. You're going in and you do what you got to do, right? Then the next benefit is actually like your paid time off, your health insurance, your 401k, retirement. All those different things are handed to you for the most part, depending on what kind of job you have. But generally, most jobs, you're gonna have those benefits. Your paid time off. When you're gonna know how much time you have for vacation, or if you got to do different things and you still get paid for it. You got a set amount of days or weeks that you have. Health insurance, life insurance, 401ks, all that kind of stuff is already deducted from your paycheck for the most part, when you're an employee. So you don't have to necessarily worry about that. And then the final thing is actually your taxes. Your taxes are pretty much easy and more beneficial, just because there's less moving parts, and compared to a CEO or an entrepreneur, they're easier to get done. So now that you see the pros as well as the cons, definitely in the comments below, let me know if I left anything out. Let me know if I need to add anything for those who, currently an employee. And let's get to the next one. Now let's talk about the pros and the cons for entrepreneurs. Now, one of the pros is you actually get to be your own boss, which is probably the best aspect of being an entrepreneur, and why most people get started as an entrepreneur is they get to actually work for themselves. One of the next things is, creating your own schedule. You get to work whenever you want to, wherever you want to. And especially now with, this pandemic going on, the times that we're living in, a lot of people are kind of limited in terms of where they can go, right? So one of the good things about being an entrepreneur is that you actually get to work wherever you want to, whenever you want to, right? You get the freedom of schedule. One of the next things is higher income potential, since you get a lot more freedom in terms of where you get to work, all that kind of stuff. You actually can get paid more. Usually as an employee, yes, you get more consistent income coming in, but you're only capped at a certain amount of money coming in. As an entrepreneur, right, your income is uncapped. It can be however much you want. Usually it's depending on the amount of work you put in. We're going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of this video, but usually it's depending on how much work or effort that you put into whatever you're doing, right, which is good. As well as you pay less in taxes, right, depending on what you do. Yes, it's a little bit more tricky in terms of how taxes work because there's more moving parts involved. It's a little bit more expensive in terms of doing your taxes, but there's a lot of things that come with it. Being a business owner, you can write a lot of things off. There's a lot of different things, kind of loopholes or different things that are set up for business owners. The laws essentially are made for entrepreneurs, or essentially made for business owners, and as an entrepreneur you get to take advantage of those different tax benefits. So let me know how you guys are feeling. So there, your employees, and there's your entrepreneurs, right? Not everyone is designed to be an entrepreneur. There are your employees who love being an employee, who love working for somebody else, who love working within that system, who love enjoying those benefits, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And then there are those people who are want to be an entrepreneur, people who don't necessarily like being told what to do, don't necessarily like being limited to a certain amount of income or hours or whatever the case may be, who may want to create something, who may want to create a service or a product, right? So if that is you, you definitely might want to look into being an entrepreneur, right? But at the same time, before you make that shift, if you are on this channel and you're looking to make that shift into entrepreneurship, understand that you have to shift your mindset, right? The biggest thing when going from a 9 to 5 to being an entrepreneur is your mindset. If you do not have the proper mindset, then you're never going to make it, right? Because there are certain things at a 9 to 5 that you just cannot do as an entrepreneur. Certain things like you can't be lazy. As an entrepreneur, understand that you're 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to be putting more hours into your business than you would be at a job. At a job you're probably putting in 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and your business you're literally probably working 24/7, because at the end of the day money's not being made unless you're putting in that work, you're putting in that grind. So you got to understand that you got to have a different mentality when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because if you're not getting that work done, you're not getting paid. Yes, there's more risk involved with being an entrepreneur than there is with being an employee, but at the same time you got to understand that your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. I'm gonna say that one more time. Your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. And if you're not willing to do what most people aren't, then you're not going to get the results that most people don't have, right? If you want to become wealthy, if you want to become a millionaire, then you're going to have to get yourself outside of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. If you're not willing to get outside of your comfort zone, then you're not going to get the results that you want. Name me a millionaire or billionaire that has not hustled, that is not grinded, that is not sacrificed people. You may have to sacrifice certain friends, right? You may have to cut some people off. It's 2022. If we're not benefiting each other, then it's time to go, right? You may have to sacrifice certain people in order to get the results that you want. People who may not have the same mindset as you may have to, sacrifice sleep, right? You may be used to sleeping in until you got to go to work maybe an hour, 30 minutes before. You may have to cut that out because understand, most entrepreneurs get up super early, go to bed super late. They don't get 8 hours of sleep, right? You got to understand as well that you're just going to have to be someone that is involved in everything, right? As an employee, your skill set is typically within, one area, right? You focus on that one area, you do your job, and you get paid. With an entrepreneur, you're usually doing everything. You're usually involved in everything, and you're gonna have to be good at everything in order to get those results. And you got to be willing to just grind. It is what it is at the end of the day. You got to be willing to, do what you got to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Let me know in the comments below what kind of content that you guys want to see moving forward. Like I said, this is a health, fitness, wealth, finance and investing channel, right? Anything that is involved with becoming the healthiest version of you as well as the wealthiest version of yourself. Definitely comment it below. And as well, I do have a community where I do mentor and educate people how to generate income through different assets as well as passive income as well. So if you're one of those people that is looking to generate passive income or invest or grow their income, definitely tap in with me in the description below. There should be a link that should give you access to a personal Telegram chat. It's free, where you're getting different things up and coming that I'm getting involved with, as well as a one-on-one call. You get a schedule essentially one-on-one with me, and we can kind of see what happens from there. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it.